Has someone ever pointed out to you a way to get more value out of your utility? Or even a mistake that you may not have previously noticed? With the new price changes, mistakes are the most economically punishing it's ever been. What's going on, ProGuides family? It's your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we're going to be talking about one big mistake for every agent in the game. As previously mentioned, the new price changes for abilities and other reworks have made it just as important as ever to use your abilities properly and get the most bang for your buck. Just like heading over to ProGuides.com and having our Radiant and Immortal level coaches help you with anything agent specific or Valorant related. Improving is the easiest way when you have a mentor to guide you, so if you're interested, make sure to check us out. Now let's get into the video. Astra's abilities are very potent, but they have high cooldowns. Especially with Astra's nerf to her stun and suck cooldowns, the gap in Astra's defenses every time she uses one of her abilities is greatly increased. But one big mistake people make is to view their utility as useless unless activated. In this case, Astra's stars create immense pressure on the enemy team by virtue of just being there. Even if you don't use a star for a suck or a stun, the threat is there, so enemies will tiptoe around it. If you can use this to your advantage, you can find great ways to scare the enemy team into a separate bomb site with some well-timed stars. However, if you are too quick to use your abilities, then the enemies will know your stars have no threat, and therefore will just run through without a care. Learn to pressure with stars. We all know that Breach has some amazing utility that can give your teammates big advantages while entering a site. However, that power comes with great responsibility, because it is the potential of hurting your teammates just as much as the enemies. As such, timing Breach's abilities is crucial to finding success, but many people just throw them out without keeping in mind their teammates' timings. If you use your flashes or stuns too fast, the enemy will recover before your teammates can fight them. If you use your abilities too slowly, your teammates will end up taking collateral damage from your abilities as well. That's why you have to focus heavily on understanding your teammates' positioning through the minimap, while also dishing out flashes and stuns to support them. What if I told you that a piece of utility has the potential to completely change the outcome of a fight, and even make the Vandal shoot faster than the Phantom? Surely you'd use it, right? Brimstone's combat stem is one of the most overlooked pieces of utility in the game, and to be honest, I rarely see it being used outside of breaking sage walls. Many people throw their combat stem whenever they feel like it just to use it, but they don't use it when it's most powerful, which is when your teammates are all executing a site together. Imagine 4 or 5 members of your team entering a site with a Reyna ultimate buff. That would be a scary sight. Not to mention, this ability is especially powerful with the Frenzy or Spectre, allowing you to easily outgun rifles at close ranges, and could totally destroy any defenders who get too close on ecos. Cypher's utility can become null and void with a single bullet. That's why it's so important to switch it up and keep the opponents guessing. A mistake I see players even in Immortal do is use their trips and camera in the same spot, every single round. While yes, the opponent shooting them is giving you the info of where they are, they could just be doing this on their default, meaning if they decide to contact in the late round, you probably won't know until it's too late. Keeping Cypher's trips late round has become even more important since patch 3.0, as Jet can no longer dash through them, meaning the trips are guaranteed to give you the info you need to fend off a site take. There are countless videos on both YouTube and TikTok showing cool and annoying setups for Cypher that have been tried and tested by the very best, and any aspiring Cypher player should have at least a few different setups to use when they need to. Jet's dash is one of the best abilities in the game, as it allows you to escape from even the worst situations. It also functions as a way to gain a lot of space when your teammates are executing a site. Most people know this, but one thing that people tend to do in every rank is to get greedy and chase kills with their dash instead. I don't understand why people would willingly put themselves at a disadvantage by having to redraw their gun when they could use the dash later in the round, especially when they could reposition to escape from an unfavorable fight. There's a difference between dashing to get space and dashing in to chase an enemy. You'll very rarely see top Jet players dash to get a kill, no matter how hungry they are, because you could easily get punished in the window of time you need to pull out your weapon. While KO's Suppression Knife offers a unique and dangerous form of CC, KO's knife is also very strong for gaining information. Many times people try to hold on to the knife for far too long, so that they can try to land a god tier suppress. But what people often tend to do is forget about the information gathering capabilities, and they downplay KO's ability to function without the knife. In early rounds and mid rounds, consider using your Suppression Knife sometimes on a questionable area of the map, as that can give your team a whole lot of information on the enemy team's plans. No information is also information, so use your knives for more than reactionary purposes. They recharge in 40 seconds, so you can get 2 to 3 knives every round. Killjoy's utility has the potential to turn an alright site defense into an unbreakable hold with the right setups. Both her turret and alarm bot provide a lot of information, both when they are idle and when they are going off, which is why our next mistake is not playing off her utility. Not only can you peek off your turret's contact with enemies, you can also start plays with it. One example is flashing after the turret starts shooting. If you have your teammate ready to flash for you to peek after they start shooting your turret, you have a very good chance to hit a great flash on distracted opponents and capitalize. Baiting Killjoy's utility is a great way to net some cheeky kills, while also making your opponents fear your setups on site even more. One of the most common misplays I see Omen players do is sticking their ultimate whenever they shouldn't. I believe that Omen's TP is best used to quickly rotate or to get info and canceling before you commit. Committing to TP, especially if it's near enemies, is always a bad idea. You may have gotten a kill or two before trying to do this, but trust me, this happens once in a blue moon. The best sort of information in Valorant is safe, riskless info, making Omen's TP one of the best ways to get massive amounts of information without risking your life. I think you can see why actually sticking it defeats the purpose of the information gathered. One of the very first things I noticed when watching professional Valorant is how much teams value Phoenix's ultimate. I vividly remember Android when he was on Ambox farming ult orbs and cracking open bomb sites with his run it back. You may think that ultimate orbs should be priorities for Killjoy or Sage, but duelist ultimates like run it back and Raze's showstopper are just as round changing. Phoenix's ultimate is a very powerful tool for site takes, and the space it creates is more than often enough for your teammates to capitalize on. While this isn't a mistake that will lose you games, it's definitely not using your character to its full potential, but it definitely has the upside of you winning games if you start to prioritize your ultimate orbs. Fire in the hole is a voice line that causes many players to run for the hills immediately. Our next mistake is saving Raze's ultimate for big plays, instead of just cashing in on an easy kill or stalling an area. I see many players save Raze's showstopper to try to go for big multi-kill highlight plays, rather than using it to secure crucial rounds and make smaller but more impactful plays. Let's be real, no one in their right mind is going to try to charge at an ulting Raze, so trying to get a multi-kill with her ultimate is a pipe dream. However, let's say you're holding a site and you'll need to stall because the enemy is throwing utility into site. Popping the rocket should buy you 10 seconds if the enemy team respects it. If they don't, you just got yourself some easy free kills. Another use that I see high elo players do with it is use it to lock down a choke point like Garage on Haven. If the Garage player dies and you are nearby, the enemy most likely won't want to swarm in, causing them to lose valuable map control and even guns if they are on an eco. Before you take away the wrong idea, we aren't saying don't use it for kills, just don't save it for the big Reddit play. The biggest plays don't have to show on the scoreboard. This is a mistake all Reyna players have made at least once before. You've worked hard to get your pick and then you forfeit your advantage because you greed it for heals instead of trying to take the orb to escape. While it may look enticing to suck 100 HP out of an orb after staring at it for a few seconds, in hectic situations, this just gives your opponents information on your whereabouts, and is also a big green light for the enemy to peek you to trade. Although there are times where healing is definitely better, it's better to err on the side of caution than to always try to heal up whenever you win a fight. Sage's ult is literal gold, and life is priceless. Sage's ultimate is now 8 ult points, so you better be getting the most out of it. My biggest pet peeve about Sage is using her res for a gun. Repeat after me, a 2900 credit gun is not worth 8 ultimate points. If you think about it, you can basically always buy a gun, but you can't always bring a teammate back in an important round. A man advantage in a gun round can be the difference between you charging to the win and shattering the opponent's economy, or your economy crumbling and losing several rounds in a row. Just because your teammate is begging to be revived at the end of the round, doesn't mean you should. Your ult has more value being charged up than selling it for 2,900 credits. Skye's flash is one of the very few in the game that have a lot of creative ways to use it, but that also comes with its own set of issues. As we all know, communication is crucial in any competitive game, let alone Valorant, so calling your flashes is crucial, especially when you can flash literally anything you want if you can steer it properly. You need to be on top of it when calling out positions you're flashing. While not everyone that plays Skye is guilty of this mistake, it can happen even to the best of us in hectic situations. Remember VCT Iceland? Enough said. This mistake may seem harmless, but it can have major implications for the round and even the game in some scenarios. Our next agent is Soba, and I'm sure we've seen a few players try to replicate average Jonas's lineups, but end up taking too long or losing the window of opportunity. One big mistake for Soba is trying to use flashy and cool lineups whenever a regular straightforward lineup is available. The reason I personally don't like overcomplicated lineups is that they take valuable time to set up and run the risk of taking too much time if not planned beforehand. While yes, these lineups do look cool, if you can do a lineup that is quicker and more reliable, then you should always use it. However, it's still important for Soba players to know good lineups. We aren't going to deny that. Just try to not only think about shooting arrows while looking at the sky. One of the biggest mistakes I see Viper players making at even the Immortal and Radiant level is not calling when their wall or a poison cloud are dropping. While you may think that it isn't as big of a problem as it seems, you'd be completely wrong. The amount of times I've seen players trapped in no man's land on Icebox after a poison wall drops is kind of crazy considering how easy it is to work around. Good players know how to play around Viper utility, so whenever the wall is up, they might be making their own play, so if you ever want to drop or put up the poison wall, your teammates need to know or else they could be caught out in some bad situations. Yoru is probably Valorant's most misunderstood agent. In my experience, a Yoru player is either insane and knows how to utilize him properly, or they picked him thinking that they could be the next Red or Ethos. I think many people pick Yoru thinking that outplaying the enemies with his TP and decoys is the only way to play him. That is like playing Raze and only using double satchels to take fights, or Sages only using their walls to play off angles. An agent's utility adds unique abilities that only they can use, but unlike other games such as Overwatch, it doesn't define how they play. You can still buy a Vandal and shoot the same way as any other agent can. In short, you should use Yoru's kit to enhance your plays, but recognize when you don't need to complicate things and do the objectively good play. Well everyone, that is all we have for one big mistake for every agent. If you liked the video, then be sure to drop a like and consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. We upload new videos just like this one every single day, and the best way to stay notified of that is by ringing that notification bell. Don't forget to check out ProGuides.com to gain access to some truly amazing coaching. This has been your host, Sergeant Frost, and I will see you guys in the next video.